Do you try to make a daring impact on your home decor, but are often left with half-finished projects instead? It's exciting to start with, and then you end up with no clear direction, which leads to no clear timeline, overwhelm, decision fatigue, and suddenly it's not fun anymore. So you move on to the next exciting idea, and the cycle continues. If this sounds familiar, it's not your fault. You're human. But I have one as good as silver bullet that eliminates all of the dominoes that result in a half-done room and changes them into dominoes that produce a personality-filled, completed space in the time that you're usually dithering over paint colours. And would you believe that this silver bullet is a home colour palette? Want to find out how? Grab a cuppa and let's get into it. Welcome to the Daring Home Decor podcast. Are you tired of playing it safe with your interior design? Are you overwhelmed with choice and just want simple steps to pull off cohesive and unique decor? I'm your host, Cara Baker, virtual interior designer and bold decor coach. I'll help you get brave, find your style and create a home with pizzazz. So grab your paintbrush, put on those overalls and let's get decorating. Hello and welcome to the show. I hope you're well. It's sunny here in the UK, so it just makes you in a good mood, doesn't it? And today we're going to be talking about stopping the cycle of half-finished home decor projects. Did you ever play dominoes as a kid? I used to love doing this. You could either get them individually or you got those sets where it was a bit of a cheat really. You got the sets where there was quite a few dominoes on one block and you just turn them upside down. But the individual ones, they were tough. They took hours. You lined them all up in a row. As I said, it took forever. And then one touch and they all fall down in a matter of seconds. It did go really quickly when you got to that point, but it was so satisfying when each domino knocked the next domino. And there was no need to tell the one after, or the one after that, or the one after that what to do. It just happened naturally, unless you had a big gap, of course, which is something that you needed to be really careful with. And I believe that having a home colour palette will actually be the first domino that will ensure each one following it will knock down naturally until you end up with a finished room. Because the real reason why so many home decor projects stay unfinished is because you're making choices room by room, item by item, without a bigger colour plan for the whole home as a whole. You're just going room by room. A home colour palette is the first decision that helps all the others line up. Without it, every new project seems to be starting from scratch. So what does a colour palette actually do in practical terms? Well, it gives you a set of colours that can flow across your home so every room feels connected, even if each one has its own personality, which I'm definitely there for and I definitely advocate. So let's break down the domino effect step by step. First, you create a colour palette for your home. This is the start of the domino. This is the first domino. This is a silver bullet as far as I'm concerned. And by the way, just to let you know, I do create colour palettes as part of the digital decor kits that I deliver to my clients. I take your home, and if you think about it, your home is probably the biggest investment that you will ever make. And you really want to make sure that you're making the most of it. And instead of a room just being a practical space or a cookie cutter design like your neighbours, let me put together a unique colour palette as well as a daring and beautiful mood board too. It will be a bit of an investment, but you get a room decorated with pizzazz and love that will bring you joy for years to come and make your monthly mortgage payments actually feel worth it. You can check it out at daringhomedecor.co.uk/digital decor kit. And as I mentioned, part of that is a colour palette, and the colour palette is not just for the specific room that the mood board is for, but the colour palette is for to base the whole of your home on. And I have got lots of previous episodes on how you can actually create your colour palette, so I won't go into that now. But once you do this one thing, whether you do it by yourself or whether you work with me, the rest of your space will fall into place. Whenever you decide to redecorate a room or glow up a space or carry out a DIY project, you have your colour palette as reference. This is like my project management system that I use for my businesses. Whenever I need to create a task, I don't have to think about it off the top of my head. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I don't have to recreate it from scratch. I just go to my workflow, click on the task card, and it tells me exactly what to do. And you can see your colour palette as your task card. This is the starting point. This is what you use for reference. Then paint choices become easier because you're choosing from a palette. Not from thousands of different random options, which is what I did when I first decorated my home. Oh, what colour shall we have that room? What colour shall we have that room? It just gets you out of that habit that doesn't really serve you. Then when you're choosing the furniture, the soft furnishings, the art, the accessories, you have something to relate back to. If a piece of furniture is not in your colour palette, then you don't have to even think about it or let it take up any space in your brain. Same for all the other items that I mentioned too. It really I can't even say that sentence. It edits out the noise. That sounded wrong somehow. It edits out all the noise. You don't have to focus on anything else. Honestly, this is such a revelation when you actually start doing it. I promise you. So when you look to buy something new, you can quickly tell if it fits or if it's just another exciting distraction. Without a home colour palette, every room becomes a separate project, and this is why we find it so hard to finish them, because you've already been distracted by the latest trend and decided to start over before you've even finished the room previously. Is this you? Be honest. You buy pieces you like, but they don't connect. You waste time rethinking decisions you should only need to make once. And then projects drag on because there's no bigger framework holding them together, and it gets boring and it gets hard, and the latest trend and shiny object syndrome win again. Let's stop that. I don't want you to be choosing colours near the end once a room starts coming together. Let's flip that completely. The colour palette should come first because it helps the room come together in the first place. A bold home doesn't need more random inspiration, it needs a clear colour backbone. And here's all the satisfying reasons for you to have a home colour palette. You create flow from room to room. I've mentioned this before, I think. If you stand in the doorway and look from one room to the other, everything should flow and look cohesive. Nothing should look out of place. You will make decorating decisions faster, and who's got time to spend hours and hours and hours on decisions these days when you have 100 million things thrown at you every day? You stop second guessing every purchase. Will it fit in? Is it right? I'm not sure. It's trendy, but will it look right in my home? You're less likely to leave projects half done because you've got that beautiful domino effect happening, and it doesn't feel clunky and it doesn't feel like it's delayed. Everything just flows beautifully. And your home feels more intentional, more pulled together and more personal. And you can still be creative, but your creativity has structure. Now, if those aren't good enough reasons to make sure you get yourself a colour palette, I do not know what is. If your decorating projects keep stalling, don't start by picking up another lamp, another paint sample or another cushion. Start with the colour palette for your home. That's the decision that supports every other one after it. And as I said, you can create your own colour palette. There's plenty of episodes on this podcast on how you can do that. Or you can grab yourself a digital decor kit and I can do it for you. I will just give you a recap. Unfinished home decor projects often aren't about lack of effort. They start earlier than that. The real issue is often not having a colour palette for your home as a whole. A home colour palette is a domino that helps every other decorating decision fall into place. It gives you a clear colour direction to work from across your home. This makes it easier to choose paint colours, furniture, fabrics, art and accessories. It also helps each room feel connected, even if each space has its own personality. It stops you decorating in isolated chunks with no bigger thread tying things together. And instead of starting from scratch every time, you've got a foundation to come back to. That means more cohesion, more confidence, and a better chance of actually finishing what you start. Your home doesn't need more random ideas. It needs a clear colour backbone first. I really hope you find this episode useful. Creating a colour palette is definitely one of the things that moved the needle for me when it came to finally creating a cohesive home that's got the wow factor and that I love. So before you go, if this episode hit home, I'd love it if you left me a review. It's one of the easiest ways to support the podcast, and it helps other women find it when they're stuck in that same place of wanting a home with more personality but not knowing where to start. And I always love hearing what you're finding useful on the show too. Well, that is a wrap. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next Tuesday, where I can't wait to get creative with you in the next episode of the Daring Home Decor podcast. Put down your tester pot for one more minute. Come share your wins from this episode by leaving a quick review on Apple Podcasts. And don't forget, you'll find your next bold steps in the show notes. Meanwhile, you can get more interior inspo by joining my free community at facebook.com/groups/Daring Home Decor. And until next week, stay daring.